In 1948, the Malayan Union was created by colonists, but the same year was replaced by a Federation of Malaya because of the Great Crisis. In 1955, they got the chance to be the ones who could choose their own federal legislative council, in which the Alliance Party took over, and they were the ones that started independence in 1957.
It was the Malaysian Communist Party who had been a great defender during World War II against Japan in the country. Therefore, this party kept on fighting in the future against the occupation of Great Britain, leading this to the national liberation of Malaysia. This party caused a unifying feeling in Malaysians' folk, and therefore this party was a key actor at the decolonization movement. The Malaysian government, after having acquired the independence, took measures to unify the society, which before was actually separated because of the different ethnical groups, and that was what divided the Malayan folk. But with this new government and this new independence, it was actually the ethnical differences which made the folk stronger. It was clear that those were differences, and that was what was separating the different groups at the population. But instead of being disrespectful, this new government made awareness of the identity, and the different ethnical groups became identities instead of different groups like opposition groups. With these identities and this being a symbol of the Malayan folk, each ethnical group learned to preserve their own identity, but most important, to respect the other ones. Another change in the society was that the Muslim ideology had always been very strong, but the Muslim ideology put the religion before the ethnical differences and the ethnical identities. So the United Malayan Organization opposed the Islamic Party because the Islamic Party wanted only the religion as what made the identity of the folk and not the ethnical identity per se. So, another change in the society was that the Islamic values were a little suppressed.
On one side, both great wars led the great powers in a fragile position, which would help the colonies to have a more easy independence. But on the other hand, the UN created the Decolonization Committee, C-24, to help the colonies that wanted independence, and the US and the Soviet Union actually favored the colonization of the African and Asian colonies. And another thing that helped the Malayan independence to take flight was the Bandung Conference that took place in Indonesia, where they discussed the role of the third world countries in the Cold War and why they needed self-determination. And of course, the way that Japan was left after World War II and the bombs of 1945 favored Malaysia in a way that the process of getting Japan out of the Malaysian peninsula and the northern Borneo was easier.
Malaysia was part of a group of countries colonized by the United Kingdom. During the decolonization that occurred after the Second World War, the imperialist countries reacted in different ways. While countries like Netherlands and Portugal chose to impose armed resistance, the United Kingdom decided to accept the decolonization through peaceful means. Although there was always tense atmosphere, the United Kingdom evaluated the pros and cons and concluded that it was better to allow the independence of its colonies, including Malaysia, so that they would avoid a war with all its consequences, economic, political, bloodshed, etc. On the other hand, to accept the independence of Malaysia and other countries, the United Kingdom claimed the entry of these countries to the Commonwealth. This guaranteed that they would still have commercial ties with the colonies and would not suffer economic damage. Over time, the United Kingdom was giving to its colonies institutions similar to the Europeans, as well as greater